Today we're going to look at section 2.2, forming questions in Spanish, which corresponds to pages 55 through 58 of your textbook. So there are three basic ways to ask questions in Spanish, and a fourth one we'll also look at. The first one, ¿hablas con tu mamá? Second, ¿estudia Maru? Y tres, ¿te gusta la tarea, no? We'll look at all of these, including the fourth one, in detail. Type 1 is intonation. So intonation means the lift or fall of your voice at the end of a statement or a question, which says a lot about how we speak. In Spanish, there are three levels of intonation, whereas in English, there's a fourth one as well. So one way to form a question is to raise the pitch of your voice at the end of a declarative sentence. Do note that when writing in Spanish a question, be sure to put an upside down question mark at the beginning and a regular question mark at the end to allow the reader to note that they need to raise the pitch of the voice. For example, in a statement, ustedes trabajan los sábados, sort of goes down in a way, right? But as a question, ustedes trabajan los sábados, the pitch of your voice rises. Same thing with Carlota busca un mapa. Carlota busca un mapa. So you'll note that the syntax and the order of the sentence and the words are identical. The only thing that changes is the intonation. Type 2 is inverting the subject and the verb. Typically in English and also in Spanish, the subject comes first. Por ejemplo, ustedes trabajan los sábados, or Carlota regresa a las 6. But the second type of forming a question is to invert the subject and the verb. Por ejemplo, trabajan ustedes los sábados, regresa a las 6 Carlota. Do know that the subject may even be placed at the end of the sentence. For example, trabajan los sábados ustedes, or regresa Carlota a las 6, regresa a las 6 Carlota. You can hear either way. Do notice that the intonation is also different than it is in the statement. Type 3 is what the textbook calls tags, which most common ones in Spanish are no or verdad at the end of a statement. We say the same thing in English. Sometimes we say right or you know. Por ejemplo, ustedes trabajan los sábados. Ustedes trabajan los sábados, ¿no? Or Carlota regresa a las 6. Carlota regresa a las 6, ¿verdad? These are quite common. The fourth type is using interrogative words, which are question words. You're going to need to know all these for your quiz this week, so I would memorize them. Also, do note that each question word has a written accent mark over it to denote that it is a question word. I'll read them now. ¿A dónde? Where to? ¿Cómo? How? ¿Cuál? Or ¿cuáles? Which or which one? ¿Cuándo? When? ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuánta? Or ¿cuántos? ¿Cuántas? How much? How many? Which we learned this past week. ¿De dónde? From where? Por ejemplo, ¿de dónde eres? Where are you from? ¿Dónde? Where? ¿Por qué? Why? ¿Qué? What or which? ¿Quién? Who? ¿Quiénes? Who? Plural. So, to ask a question that requires more than a yes or no answer, which are these, we use an interrogative word. Por ejemplo, ¿cuál de ellos estudia en la biblioteca? Which of them is studying in the library? ¿Para dónde caminamos? Where are we walking to? Or to where are we walking? ¿Por qué necesitas hablar con ella? Why do you need to talk to her? ¿Cuántos estudiantes hablan español? How many students speak Spanish? So do know when pronouncing this type of question, the pitch of your voice falls at the end of the sentence. ¿Cómo llegas a clase? ¿Por qué necesitas estudiar? Or ¿cuándo es la clase de español? ¿Quién es él? Or ¿de dónde eres tú? ¿Cómo estás? Cosas así. Do note the difference between por qué, written as two words. I like to think of it as for what, and it also has a written accent mark over que, letting you know that it's a question word, and por qué, which is written as one word without an accent mark, meaning because. ¿Por qué estudias español? Why do you study Spanish? Porque es divertido, because it's fun. Another thing, do know in Spanish, no can mean both no and not. So when answering a yes or no question in the negative, you have to use no twice. The first time to answer the question, por ejemplo, caminan a la universidad, like do you all walk to the university? And you're like, no, no caminamos a la universidad. The second no has the meaning of do not or don't, as we often use in English. Por ejemplo, ¿tomas la clase de francés? No, no tomo la clase de francés. No, I don't take a French class. ¿Bailas tú todos los días? No, no bailo todos los días. If you were to put yo in there to be emphatic, you would put it before or like between the two no's, right? No, yo no bailo todos los días. So these are your online homework activities we're just going to look at briefly. They are due on the 5th. So these are just practicing with the different types of questions. You're going to see a written statement and write it as a question. Por ejemplo, in the example, Ernesto habla con su compañero de clase. You write, habla Ernesto con su compañero de clase. Notice they switch the subject and the verb, or you could also put the subject at the end of the sentence. Habla con su compañero de clase Ernesto. Por ejemplo, number 1. La profesora Cruz prepara la prueba. Prepara la prueba la profesora Cruz. O prepara la profesora Cruz la prueba. Número 2. Sandra y yo necesitamos estudiar. ¿Necesitamos estudiar Sandra y yo? ¿O necesitamos Sandra y yo estudiar? Next activity is similar. Pedro compra un libro para su clase. And then we're going to invert the subject and the verb. Compra Pedro un libro para su clase, or perhaps put the subject at the end. Compra un libro para su clase Pedro. Por ejemplo, número 1. Ustedes son de Puerto Rico. ¿Son ustedes de Puerto Rico? ¿O son de Puerto Rico ustedes? Número 2. El estudiante dibuja un mapa. ¿Dibuja un mapa el estudiante? ¿O dibuja el estudiante un mapa? The next activity, working with type 3, which is the tags, and also type 1, intonation. For the statement, hablas inglés, intonation, hablas inglés. And for the tag question, hablas inglés, no? So you'll just write these same ones. Por ejemplo, número 1, trabajamos mañana. For the intonation, be sure to put the upside down question mark and the regular question mark. Trabajamos mañana. And the tag question, ¿trabajamos mañana? ¿No? Or trabajamos mañana, ¿verdad? ¿Ustedes desean bailar? ¿Ustedes desean bailar? Or ¿ustedes desean bailar? ¿No? Or ¿ustedes desean bailar? ¿Verdad? And the last one, you're going to look at the words from the 4th type, which are the question words. Por ejemplo, number 1. You can sort of infer the question they're asking from the answer. Ellos caminan a la biblioteca. They're walking to the library. So this question might be asking, to where are they walking? ¿A dónde caminan ellos? Ellos caminan a la biblioteca. Also, when we use these words, you're going to put an upside down question mark to denote that it's a question. Número 2. El profesor de español es de México. ¿De dónde es el profesor de español? Might be the question.